Hey guys, what's up? So I wanted to touch on a topic today that isn't talked about nearly enough. I've talked about it or touched on it briefly. I've expressed things pertaining to this, but I didn't really have a name for it. I didn't have a label for it. I've had all of the emotions that on this topic, but so I want to talk about it because it made me feel less alone, being able to kind of put a label to it or put a name to it so that I could kind of dive into it deeper. And that is something called religious trauma syndrome, or RTS for short. If you don't know my background, I grew up in a Christian school, went to church every Sunday. Basically, I didn't have any outside exposure or any secular exposure up until I hit college, and my first college class I took was geology, which is interesting. It had a lot to do with evolution. And although, I learned counterpoints to being taught or counter arguments to evolution in my Christian school, those fell apart really quickly. Needless to say, here I am. I no longer identify as a Christian. I don't go to church. As far as where I'm at spiritually, I don't know. I'm on a journey with that, but I do not identify as a Christian, and I'm kind of healing from all of the past or everything that I learned. So I'm kind of like unlearning or separating my brain from all of that. And it's a process for sure. And around that process, I've had a ton of different emotions and I felt very alone. So I want to make people feel less alone by talking about this specifically, because I think a lot of people probably deal with this and we don't even know. So back to RTS, just to get a grasp of what it actually is or what causes it, I'm going to read off from a website called journeyfree.org. And this is by someone named Marlene Winnell. And religious trauma syndrome is not something that is in the DSM-5. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it was very soon. If it sounds made up to you, it's cool, whatever. But all of these feelings and emotions that pertaining to religious trauma syndrome are real. And I think that they should be validated. So I'm just gonna dive into it now. Religious trauma syndrome is the condition experienced by people who are struggling with leaving an authoritarian, dogmatic religion and coping with the damage of indoctrination. They may be going through the shattering of a personally meaningful faith and or breaking away from a controlling community and lifestyle. RTS is a function of both the chronic abuses of harmful religion and the impact of severing one's connection with one's faith. It can be compared to a combination of PTSD and complex PTSD. This is a summary followed by a series of 3 articles which were published in Cognitive Behavior Therapy Today. Religious trauma syndrome has a very recognizable set of symptoms, a definitive set of causes, and a debilitating cycle of abuse. There are ways to stop the abuse and recover. So, some symptoms of religious trauma syndrome. Cognitive: confusion, poor critical thinking ability, negative beliefs about self-ability and self-worth, black and white thinking, perfectionism, difficulty with decision making. Oh, this is so true for me. One of the things that I have acknowledged the most coming out is that I don't trust myself to make decisions. It's the weirdest thing, and I feel like this has a lot to do with it. Emotional: depression, anxiety, anger, grief, loneliness, difficulty with pleasure, loss of meaning. Social: a loss of social network, family rupture, social awkwardness. That's definitely me. Sexual difficulty, behind schedule on developmental tasks. Cultural: unfamiliarity with secular world, fish out of water feelings, difficulty belonging, information gaps. Examples: evolution, modern art, music. Yeah, definitely was definitely a fish out of water when going to college and learning evolution, and it was rough. Culture shock for sure. So, causes of religious trauma syndrome. Authoritarianism coupled with toxic theology, which is received and reinforced at church, school, and home, results in suppression of normal child development. Cognitive, social, emotional, moral stages are arrested. Damage to normal thinking and feeling abilities, information is limited and controlled. Dysfunctional beliefs taught, independent thinking condemned, feelings condemned. External, and just to touch on that, like any part of you who was like, if you questioned your faith at any point, it was almost like it was Satan tempting you. Questioning things was not welcome. It was not encouraged because it was temptation. It was Satan putting ideas into your head. And it sounds crazy to me now looking back, but I believed it, like it was what I grew up in. External locus of control, knowledge is revealed, not discovered. Hierarchy of authority enforced, self not reliable or a good source. And that comes down again to not trusting myself to make decisions, because when you're told that God is always in control or that he'll never give you more than you can handle, it's different when it comes to decision making. And it's also like I was so 100% in with religion that I don't trust myself and I question everything now. I never want to follow something blindly ever again. The last one here is physical and sexual abuse, patriarchal power, unhealthy sexual views, punishment used as for discipline. So I didn't deal with like physical or sexual abuse in the church, but there is a sense of purity culture where women are encouraged to remain virgins, remain pure up until marriage. And although men were also, given a certain sense of saving themselves or purity, it was very much so emphasized among women to remain pure for their future husbands, or it was women's responsibility for men not to stumble and they should dress modestly. So there's a lot of emphasis on how women should dress, how women should behave, and that is something that doesn't just go away overnight. It's not like, oh, cool, you're married now, you can enjoy sex, have fun. When you're taught something is like bad, and then it's just like married, go. That's not something that just falls away. My experience with marriage is a little different because of my past, but even with relationships afterwards, there was still that kind of like hesitancy or sexual hesitancy or dysfunction where you have to constantly be reminding yourself and kind of work through it, whether it's through therapy or you have a partner who is patient and there to help and remind you that it's healthy and normal to have a sexual relationship. It's crazy how deeply embedded all of these moral standards stay. It's a process to get out of it. It's still a process. So this is just something I wanted to bring awareness to and help people feel less alone. I know that I found some safety in discussing this with friends, and I kind of want to just open that up even more. So I created a Facebook group called Religious Trauma Syndrome Processing, and feel free to join. I would love to have more discussions, more conversations surrounding this topic. I think that it could bring so much more healing if we talk more about our experiences. And the group is just a place to like share whatever. It's anger, anxiety, like fucked up memes. Like I do that sometimes because it helps me heal. Like laughter makes me heal. And it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel sad. And I think that it's just something I want to talk about with other people. And I'm pretty passionate about this subject now just because of all of the ups and downs that I've gone through with leaving Christianity and processing everything out there. I don't feel like anyone should have to do that alone. So just want to create a space for it. And that's about all for this video. Sorry, it's kind of a lot of information, but I definitely encourage you to check it out more. I'll put the link to this website down below. And last but not least, I wanted to say, I am extending my Cyber Monday sale for my merch. I do have a merch store. I don't talk about it very often, but if you want to get some merch, I'll put the link down below also, and here's a chance for 25% off if you are interested. That is it. Hopefully this video is helpful for you. Feel free to leave your experience with religion, coming out of religion. absolutely anything down below. I would love to read your experiences as well. Join the group. Hope to see you there. And that is it. Peace out, guys. I will see you next time.